There's somebody in our midst that's been fighting for a crown, for a prize. He is the heavyweight champion of the world. And let me give you an appropriate introduction. Competing from 1984 to 2011, he represented the United States at the 1984 Summer Olympics, winning a bronze medal in the light heavyweight division. He turned professional at age 21, moving up to cruiserweight in 1985 and winning his first world championship the following year. He reigned as the undisputed champion at cruiserweight in the late 1980s and at heavyweight in the early 1990s, and remains the only boxer in history to win the undisputed championship in 2 weight classes. He's the only 4-time world championship heavyweight champion, having held the unified WBA, WBC, IBF titles from 1990 to 1992, the WBA and the IBF titles again from 1993 to 1994, and between 1996 and 1999, and the WBA title for a 4th time from 2000 to 2001. Today we're going to learn about his family, his faith, his fight, and maybe a little bit of fun. Would you give a warm, raucous Bridgeway welcome to the heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield. What's happening, champ?
Not too much.
Well, just so you know, somebody like Evander to take time to be here all day and throughout the weekend when there's so many other places he can be and so many other demands on his life. When I asked him if he would come, he graciously and generously said yes. He texts me every day, sometimes 2 times a day. We talk about God's word, a little spiritual mentorship, I suppose. And when I asked him if he'd come, he said yes. So I just want to personally say in front of everyone, thank you for coming to Bridgeway Community Church. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
We're going to talk about family. We'll talk about faith, talk about fight, maybe a little fun. Family. Tell us about your kids.
Well, I have 11, and
Ho. 11 kids.
yes.
Did you find out what caused that? Or?
Well, you know, I love kids.
Okay, so why not just have 11?
Well, I'm saying if you can afford it.
One time I asked Evander, I said, how can I pray for you? He said, pray for my kids. I said, send me their names. He sent me 11 names. They all begin with an E. I said, Lord, I can't pray that long. But they all begin with an E, don't they?
Well, yeah, because the fact of the matter, you know, I want everybody to have ease.
So I guess you decided not to name them George.
I didn't want to do that, but.
Okay, but one actually was named Ashley. What happened there?
Well, you know, I had one daughter that, you know, because her mom didn't want her to have an E. And so when she got older, she found out she the only one that didn't have an E. She wanted to eat, so changed to Yvette.
Yvette Ashley. So six boys, 5 girls?
Yes.
How about
yes.
that? Okay. Tell us about the role of your father, because you really didn't know him growing up, right?
Well, I didn't know my father, and so I asked my mom about my father, and my mama told me that he outworked everybody. He was always on time. And I said, what else? And she said, that's all you need to know. And so, you know, I wanted to work hard, and they say he was very strong. So that right there was a big part of it too. And I wanted to be strong, like people told me I was skinny. I ain't like being skinny.
How old were you when you met him?
I was 21 years old. Just came back from the Olympics, and my mama said, I want to take you to see your daddy. And I was like, what? Because I'm like, when you get $1 million, you get to thinking, you don't need no daddy no more. But
now he show up.
But my mama said, I want to take you to see him. And so, I ain't think, I can't tell my mama what to do. Now, I can think any way I want, but I got to do what you say. So, of course, we go to Alabama, and I find out that it was my mama. It really wasn't my dad, it was my mama. My mama didn't like him. But found out that, I seen my dad and seen his build, and I realized that I'm gonna look good when I get older. I said, I'm gonna look good.
He was in good shape, huh?
Yeah, in great shape.
What about the influence of your mother? We talk about that a lot.
Well, the influence of my mother, I feel that I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't have that mom. My mama could have quit, but she didn't quit. And just as people call me the real deal, but the real deal really was my mom. And I said that because the fact of the matter, everything that I wanted to do, she wouldn't let me do it. And I knew that. She said, no. She had learned from all the rest of it. That ain't working. And so, because of the Bible, my mama, you stay in this Bible, you do this. She paid them tithe and like that, and here I am.
Say that again now?
She paid the tithe.
Okay.
Paid them tithes, and everything worked.
But she introduced you to the Lord as well. Tell us about how you came to know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior.
Well, we had to go. You had to confess what you done every time. And I was like, my grandma was like, looking at, go up there, go get that testimony. I'm telling you, it was just amazing that, and the fact of doing that so long, eventually, I wanted to do it myself, and I came to a point where that he said, we need some young people to give themselves to the Lord. Because he said the older people already know which way they're going already. And so you need some young people. And so I was one of them. Well, my grandmama looked at me, but I had already said I was going to go myself. But she made sure. That means going up there. And so, I really wanted God to use me. And then you know what? He used you. And here I am.
It's pretty amazing. The influence and the impact of a mother. How do you stay connected to the Lord? I know you do spiritual disciplines and practices every day. You sent me a text at 3 this morning. What time do you get up?
Well, my mama told me, I was a scary kid. It was amazing how I could be so scary, and I became all that it is because it's obvious that God used what he had. And so my mama used to tell me, I said, Mama, I said, I wake up too early and I get scared. My mom said, well, it's something you can do while you're up now. Now, while you're up now, pick up that Bible and read the Bible. Now, the devil going to try to put you to sleep. Now, if he puts you to sleep, you went back to sleep. But if you don't, you got some work. so either way it goes, you pick up the Bible. If you fall asleep because you want to go to sleep, then it's fine. But in anything, if he don't put you to sleep, you got the word, and which is the light.
What do you read in the Bible? What do you read in the Bible?
Well, Revelation and Genesis, both of them. Revelation, start with the Revelation first. All the promise in the Revelation shows you what's going on now, and then if you go back to the Genesis, and the promise in Genesis really tell you what Jesus is gonna do. And so when it all comes, it matches up and get you where you can receive the word. Because the most important thing is being able to receive and know that all that the price that Jesus paid for you, that price that he paid for you, and it gonna touch everything that you connected with. You know, when I look at my kids, I tell my kids, no. Just like my mama said, I'm better than my mama because she wanted me to be better. So the word of God talk about glory to glory. And so, and by me doing what I'm supposed to do, it's gonna be a lot easier for my kid. So if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, it's gonna be a little harder on my kid. So if you love your kids, then you yourself gonna say, no, I don't want this to fall off on my kid, because if I don't change it, then what they gonna do? So, the thing is that my mama could have given up and said, look, he the number 9, hot dog, but she didn't. So here I am.
Yeah, so you're the youngest of 9 kids.
Youngest of 9.
God bless your mother.
Yep.
You still go to church? I mean, being all big and famous, is it hard to go to church?
No, I fly from Florida to Atlanta to go to church, because
Yeah, I do too.
that's how.
That's how I do church.
Well, I'm like, because people ask me, said,
Right.
why would you do that? I said, because if anything I want, I pay. So, I like to get in the same word. It's like I had one mama. That's it. I never had another mama. Didn't even play like it. No, I got one mama, and that's enough. And so, pretty much when you got a good teacher, you're not going to get confused. You stick with one. You get another one, you get all these people talking to you. I'm telling you, you can get frustrated.
You live in both places, Fort Lauderdale and Atlanta. Which one do you like better?
Atlanta. But you know how in the Bible it told Abraham, you got to get away from your kinfolk sometimes. You have to do what you have to do for you to be at peace and for everything to work.
That's a word.
Well, it is.
What encouragement would you give to people today that may be coming here, they don't know Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior? Maybe they're looking for answers. Maybe they came just because you're here. What word of encouragement would you give them?
It's just, I think the big thing is that when you get the first commandment, honor your father and your mother. I'm telling you, it's amazing that, people think about all of them, but if you get the first one right, if you get everything will line up. Everything will line up and you get the first one. I'm telling you, if you can just be able to love your parents for who they are, not for what you want them to be, you'll get there.
How about that? Wow. That is indeed the first commandment with a promise. We've talked about family. We've talked about faith. Let's talk about fighting for a second. How did you get into boxing? Your mom had something to do with that too?
Well, yeah, I sure did.
She used to beat you down.
Well, not so much of that. Is that I was the youngest of 9, and my brothers and sisters, wasn't nobody gonna bother me, because my brothers and sisters, they fight one, they had to fight everybody. So now, once my brothers and sisters start moving off, then I was there by myself. And so, and I was fast. I can run real fast. So them guys be talking that noise. I sit right there by the door when that bell ring, open that door, and I run. And so I run home. And so my mama see me looking out the window one day, and she come on, look out there the window and see the boy standing in the yard. And my mama looked at me and get back out there.
Wow.
And so you realize that I get back out there, I hit the guy one time, he started crying. The fight is over. I said,
well then. How my mom encouraged me to fight.
yeah.
That's the title of his next book. Wow. You had a mentor, a coach, who told you you could be somebody.
Well, yeah, it was like when I'm coming in from football, because I like football. I like anything that was tough and rugged. I was that kid. But I'm coming in, and I seen the guy hitting the speed back. So I go up and ask. I said, "Can I hit the speed back?" And the man said, "No." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you got to be on the boxing team." I said, "Well, can I be on the boxing team?" And he said, "No." So the next day I asked him, and he said, "No." Then the next day I asked him, and he said, "No." Then the fourth day I come in there, I go, he looked at me, he just shook his head, and so I acted like I was walking away. So he turned it back, and I ran up there and asked him, "Yeah, come on in." He told me to come in. And when he told me to come in, he said, "Well, go ahead and hit the bag." He said, "This one right here." So I hit this bag. He said, "Hit it hard now." I said, "Okay." I hit that thing, and it hurt my hand, and he started laughing. When he started laughing, I just kept hitting it. Then he said, "Oh, hold up, your hand bleeding." I said, "It's okay." And I just kept hitting. And he said, "Son, stop. You hurt your hand." He said, "You tough, ain't you?" And I looked at him, I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Do you know you can be like Muhammad Ali?" And I looked at him, I said, "I'm only 8 years old." And he said, "You won't always be 8." And I believed him because next week I was going to be 9. So
He was prophetic too.
well, it's all about believing. And so he said, "Wow." He said, "You think you want to be like Muhammad Ali?" I looked at him, I said, "I got to ask my mama." He asked me, he said, "What?" I said, "I got to ask my mama." He said, "Son, you know you got a good mama?" And so, at that age, 8 years old, only thing I know, you don't know my mama. But I didn't say that because my mama said, "You zip it up." And so I go home and I go ask my mom. And my mama said, "Do you know what they gonna do to you?" I was like, she had that look on her face. If my mom had that look, that means she getting ready to swing. So I bagged the head back because she gonna go for the head. And then she said, "Do you know what they gonna do to you?" I said, "No, mama." She said, "They gonna hit you." And I start laughing because I get three whoopings a day. Everybody hit me. And my mama told me I can hit them back. I couldn't hit nobody back in the family because I was the youngest. And so that's how boxing started.
Wow. Okay. Did your mama believe in you?
Well, yes. Yeah, ultimately, because my mama believed me, I became everything. Because even when things didn't work, my mama said, "Do it over." And getting up early, my mama said, "Get up early. If you ain't got nothing to do, at least get out the bed. And look out the window." It was like that. My mama was, I'm like, because people always ask me, "Why are you talking about your mama?" I said, "Because I wouldn't been who I am. I know I wouldn't. Because my mama was so good that even my brothers and sister was afraid to tell me to do anything different than what my mama, because that whooping she put on them, they realized they weren't going to not tell me because they know that I'm the one where start crying first and start telling everything. so I'm the one that, just everybody knew that my mama look at me, I'm gonna start talking. I'm gonna tell everything that I know. I would tell her what I seen and everything, because I wasn't going that whooping. See, now, they can leave. I can't. I ain't got don't nobody know me. I ain't got no friend's house to go over.
How about that? So here you have a mentor that's telling you you can be like Muhammad Ali. And you have a mom that believes in you. Didn't she tell you you could be the champion?
Yeah, she told me, she said, son, if you listen and you follow direction and don't quit, eventually you're going to get there. And so I guess the biggest problem I had is, now, as a kid, everything was cool. When I turned 16, it was prom time. So I told my mama I didn't want to go to the prom. And she told me, she said, son, you're trying to be average. I said, what you mean, mama? She said, you don't work so hard to win this thing to go to Canada, and you're going to go to a prom? You want to be average. You want to be like the average people. Now, she said, you want me to tell that girl, do you want me to tell her? Or do you want to tell her? So I know my mama going to embarrass me now, because people thought if you live in the ghetto, you do anything that you want to. Not in my house. So I had to tell her that I couldn't take her to prom. So I went there. I went and Canada, and I won the whole tournament. And I have a picture that I show my kids. I said, see how I look? They said, Daddy, you ain't look happy. I said, I know, but I won everything. I said, because my mama started allowing me to, my mama started putting that pressure on me as a kid to let me know I couldn't do what everybody else did. And because I didn't do what everybody else did, I'm the only person in the world that ever been the heavyweight champion of the world 4 times. So many things I accomplished because it started at a young age. You can't wait till you get 19 and 20 to do it. You have to start at a young age.
How about that?
The sacrifices.
Yeah, at a young age. I know we talked about your kids, talked about your father, your mother. Married, single, looking, or not?
Well, I'm single, but I will get married again because I like taking care of people. Taking care of people is what, and
Anybody in here want to be taken care of? Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, so you've been married how many times?
I'm married 3 times.
Married 3 times?
Yes.
All right, so 11 kids, been married 3 times. Dude, alimony must be like killing you. I mean, good Lord.
But it wasn't about money. It was, with me, I just realized that, when you raise properly, you'll find that money is never going to be the issue. Just pay your tithes. Pay your tithes, everything going to be all right. And that's what my mama told me. And I'm the one that never had no problem with money. And
but
so,
your marriage didn't work these 3 times. Was it because of money, or was it because of you didn't know how to handle them, they didn't know how to handle you?
Well, the fact is that the balance in anything, the mother and the father, it takes both of them. You're not going to make it on one of them. It takes both of them to balance you out. Because everybody that I got, they were just like my mom. So the fact is, I trust my mom, so that means that, anything they did, I was like, well, maybe it's going to turn out right. I never knew that things were going to turn out with my mama, but it did. But you get somebody just like I got. Now,
each one of them was just like your mama.
Yeah, they had her ways. And like this, and so the whole big thing, my whole thing, I just sit there and I just listen. Okay.
So the next one is not going to be like your mama.
Well, they have some of it. They have some of the things.
I would do some pastoral counseling later on.
I'm for real.
You better bring her by here. I want to meet her when the time comes. Have you ever heard of a prenup? I'm just wondering.
Well, I have, but I love itself. If you I feel that you got to have a prenup. You shouldn't even marry nobody. Okay? You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Why?
because love is more than that. Love is more than that. I'm saying, the thing is that I love my mama, and I became successful because, I love my mama so much. And I said, Mama, you're not gonna ever have to ask nobody for nothing. Like this and like this. And I didn't know if it was the right thing to do, but that's what it was. And my mama didn't have to ask nobody for nothing from the time I was 21 to the day that she passed. But, she never had to ask nobody for nothing. And I realized that that's the whole big thing is when you ask God for something that is going to help somebody else. I'm talking about pretty much just like your kids. I didn't want my mama had a sixth grade education, and what else? Then nobody read to us. So I was trying to figure out how in the world somebody my age knows something that I don't know. And so my mama was like, son, when y'all go out, who run the fastest? I said, well, I do. She said, okay then, do you wonder why they don't run as fast as you? I said, well, Then she said, well, it's obvious that you've been running, they haven't. Now, my mama told me if I could read, I could stay home with her and read to her. so the thing is, my mama tells me that everybody got something they do a little bit better, but if you don't brag, then they won't be talking about how smart they are. Because my mama realized that she said, I'm sure you're bragging. I didn't know what bragging was. She said, are you talking about you win the thing all the time? I said, yeah. She said, okay, that's bragging. You stop bragging, they'll stop bragging. So you found out that in life that whatever you do good, and you bragging about it, they're going to talk about what they do good. And so you're going to get the other end of the stick, so whatever you do real well, you don't brag about it. I'm a good fighter. I don't talk about how good I fight, but if I start talking about how good a fighter I am, somebody's going to start telling what they better than me in. So, you get that balance.
Got it. Who hit you the hardest?
Well, George Foreman. No doubt.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Did he hit you with a grill or like?
Well, you can't bring the grill in the ring, but
Okay.
But the thing is that now George Foreman was like about 250, 260, and I was like when I fought him, I was about 208, and so the art of the game for me was, I remember the people said, if he ever hit Holyfield, it's gonna be it. And so I'm like, well, it's supposed to be it. If I get hit by it, I said, but I'm not gonna get hit by it. I said, I'm gonna hit him 3-1. And you know what? And I hit him 3-1. But in that 11th round, at the end of the 11th round, he caught me that one shot. I got my head back, and I couldn't take it no far back, and he boom! When he hit me, everything just stiffed up. And the bell rung.
Where'd he hit you?
He hit me right in the mouth. I thought he knocked out all my teeth out. And all of a sudden, the bell rung, and my corner people said, come on back. But I couldn't move right then and there. I was stuck. Then the blood started flowing back. Then I was, oh, I come over like this. Did he knock all my teeth out? They said, no, they in. And come to the next round, I helped him about the whole round. I said, and so the people after the fight, they said, you had to hug the old man. I said, but I beat him 11 rounds. I wasn't gonna lose that last round because I thought I wasn't gonna lose the last round.
So he hits you the hardest.
Yes.
Who bit you the most?
Oh, Mike. No problem. No, you know what? Even in that situation now. So,
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Take that down. I mean, at least it had a Gracism background. That was good. He got a piece of that ear. Which ear was it?
Wait, this one here. Got a little, just a tip.
Did it hurt?
Of course it did. I'm like, but you know what people don't understand, Mike and I been knowing each other ever since Mike was 17. He was 17, I was 21. And so what people didn't really know about is the fact is, when you're 21, a 17-year-old kid, you don't care how big he is, because he was heavyweight and I was light heavy. And, at that age, he's talking, well, I don't want to hurt you. I said, who? I let him know, I'm a grown man. You ain't got no license to do nothing. And so we sparred. And so in the point of sparring, I got the best. So from that point on, me and Mike had an understanding that it's gonna take more than you punching hard. Because my whole thing is because I was the biggest one in my family when I got older. My brother didn't always remember you're a kid. they put their hand on my nose. Let me tell you something, boy. You don't want none of this.
But you beat him.
Oh yeah, I beat him twice.
So why did he bite you?
Well, because he wanted to get out. And I know that because I just bite my brothers and sisters when I want to get out. This is what it was. All the time.
So you could identify.
Well, I can identify with the situation.
Is that why you forgave him?
Well, I have to. The Bible says, who have not sinned, it's come down to that. With me, I knew because the fact of the matter, I beat my brothers and sisters so many times. When I tell them I give and they don't let me go, whatever I can bite, I bite.
Wow.
When I bite them, when they squinch up like this, I just got to beat them to it. I can get in front of my mama. Can't nobody hit me in front of my mama. Could nobody hit me in front of my mama.
He bit you once?
No, he beat me twice. So that let me know he really wanted to get out of there.
Twice on the same ear?
No. He did this one once, and he did that second. But he didn't. When he just touched this, I was trying to get that head back. Then he didn't get a chance to get a piece of this one. Just a taste.
You want a piece of me? You want a piece of me? So he bit both ears.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey man, have you ever, we talk about faith, family, fighting. Have you ever taught a pastor how to box?
Well, I haven't, but I can.
You can.
I can. If you listen and you follow directions, I have you on.
Well, I have been doing research on YouTube, and I found a great form. So tell me if you think this is a good form. That's pretty good form, right?
Yeah, that's what they call shadow boxing. And shadow boxing is good. Actually, you learn how to box by in the mirror, punching, looking at yourself, because people tend to do better when they see themselves.
People tend to do better when they see themselves. I want to see myself box you. I'd really love to learn a little bit, and I think, you can disciple me in boxing. I can disciple you in other things, but would you mind teaching me a few?
Yeah, why not?
All right, now. Be gentle. All right, first of all, what is a jab?
Well, the jab that's one of the most important things, because this is how you measure, especially when you got long arm, you kind of like this. But that jab that's the first shot you want to hit a guy head. Because if you hit him,
step into it.
You transfer the weight, and the reason why you use your jab, and that's your weakest hand, because if they get past that, they get the boom.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You call it the boom.
Yeah, well, just your powerful hand.
So you're transferring the weight.
Yeah, transfer.
How much you weigh? How much you weigh?
I weigh about 230.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so. Don't worry about that. All right. I want you to punch me because I want people to know that I took a punch from Evander Holyfield. So this is what we'll do. Whenever I mention the word ear, you can hit me, okay?
Okay.
So let's start by playing it by ear. Oh, okay. All right. Ask me what my favorite verse is in the Bible.
What's your favorite verse?
He who has an ear, let him. Oh, okay, good. The word heart, H-E-A-R-T, the word in the middle is ear. Did you know that? Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Before we bring it to an end and before Pastor comes up to close it out in Owens Mills and here in Columbia, what final word of encouragement would you give to Bridgeway Community Church?
Well, I would say one of the most important things that, honor your parents. I'm saying that if you get the number one right, honor your parents, your father and mother, life is going to be good. Not just for you, but your kids and the grandkids. I'm saying, and that's one of the most important things that I tell my kids.
Thank you for being with us. I appreciate you. What do y'all say to Evander Holyfield, the world heavyweight champion of the world?